Hi, my name is Katerin Gerasimenko, and I'm a 12th grader from Roswell, Georgia, which is right outside Atlanta, or as we call it, OTP, outside the perimeter. Right now, I go to school at Centennial High School, which is definitely interesting because it's like having hands-on experience with what I want to study, because I want to study political science at Tulane, but I want to fix public policy relating to education. I think that Tulane can empower me to do this. Of course, there is a lot to be done, and it is all based on my observations so far in high school, middle school, and elementary school, but I hope to actually do some real research in a lot of schools. So, this project is my observations and ideas for possible solutions to all of the flaws with public school education in America at the moment, which obviously is a pressing issue because it's in the news all the time, but here is my viewpoint on it. So, a box isn't just a cardboard box, it's a brick box, or whatever your school may be made out of. Now, not all schools actually look like a box. My school sure does. However, the architecture isn't really the problem here. The problem here is that a box is what students are starting to identify their learning and education as being in. They're trying to fit a bubble that they fill on a Scantron. They're trying to fit these rigid standards that they have to learn, or that they're just memorizing to pass a test and fulfill the expectations of society. They're not getting any desire within themselves to learn physics or music or writing or anything that we're taught in school. Why is this? Well, let's start with the beginning of my education. I was lucky enough to have parents to instill the values of learning in me from a young age. But of course, not all kids in America have families who actually support them through their education. And that's the reason why I'm so passionate about this. And that's definitely been the basis of a lot of my observations and solutions. The fact that we need to fix this, not for the kids whose parents are already pushing them to do well in school, but for the kids who come to school and need someone to tell them, hey, learning is going to change your life. Knowledge is the way to the future. So in kindergarten, I was put in something called TAG, Talented and Gifted. And I'm not telling you this to brag or say, wow, I'm so smart. No, that's not the reason at all. The reason is just because this was one of the programs that really sparked my creativity and made me honestly fall in love with learning. I loved school during elementary school. I know a lot of kids do, but it wasn't because we had nap time. It wasn't because we had recess. It was because I got to learn about diseases and entrepreneurship. But the only part I didn't like was that we had to learn how to write a check in kindergarten. That was very stressful. But yeah, so I fell in love with learning. However, when middle school comes along, even the kids who have always been motivated and have had parents to motivate them to do well in school start to fall asleep in class and just fall off the radar. TAG becomes just a way of describing honors classes in middle school, which subject to memorization, repetition, no self-discovery to what you're interested in at all. Yeah, honestly, a lot of people don't even remember what they learned in middle school. And we take the same subjects in high school as if we're learning it for the first time when we just did it in middle school. We could be spending high school when our brains are developed enough to really learn how to actually persuade people and interpret the ideas we've already learned and take them to the next level. This should be a staircase effect, not the spiral effect, which I'm about to show you, where we just keep learning it and we're supposed to understand it more, but we never branch out from that. We just stay in that rigid box. Students should be able to, if they, for example, really like anatomy class, then they should be able to take another class that's related to some specific part of that, related to maybe being a physical therapist one day. So when I got to high school, there's barely any tag, it's lack of funding, and all the kids that are in tag or like are able to test in, they don't care about learning anymore. It's all about what GPA do we have? What scores do we have to get into this college? What number do we have to fill in societal expectations? We don't love ourselves enough to realize that without learning we can't be whole and our hearts are broken. So, this is what needs to be done. Well, obviously America's under pressure to stay at a high level of competitiveness, of course, compared to countries such as China. So play and creative time might not seem like a good idea, but how are we supposed to innovate and continue leading the world without time to experiment? In a lot of my classes, we have a lot of collaboration with technology, which is really great, but not everyone has that. Not all classes have that, and I think that using Google Docs and being able to talk to people in real time and just contribute to the same document should be everywhere. Finally, a flexible curriculum. Fitting in to these specific standards, no one's the same. Students need personalized learning. So, another problem I've noticed at my school is in other schools is the fact that races are underrepresented or overrepresented in classes. We have a good amount of Caucasians, Hispanics, African Americans, and when I walk into an on-level math class, most people in there are minorities. In an AP class, most people are Caucasian. That's not okay, because that's setting an example for people saying, okay, this race is going to be in this class, or this race is in this class, and that's just not what we accomplished in our history at all, and we need to stop that. Finally, there's also a difference between AP and honors and on-level in level of education, especially in my school. There's a higher expectation you have in AP and honors, but the problem with the lower expectation in on-level classes is that those kids need someone to believe in them the most, because their parents probably aren't believing in them or telling them, hey, you need to do your homework. Their parents are saying, no, you need to make money, like, go to your job, like, I don't care if you have homework. So thus, student evaluation should be based on cumulative creative projects, the ability to present themselves and speak eloquently. It isn't what matters about the knowledge we know if we can't share it with other people. So school may be a box, but we can have the opposite of the Pandora's box effect if we just open it and release all this passion and potential that each of us has inside of each other. If we adapt these innovative solutions that I've presented in this video, if we subject to the standardization of the current state of education in America, we risk missing out on greatness. Thank you so much for watching, and I apologize for the length. I hope you learned something today.